An acoustic hey
Yeah. I absolutely love that channel. It's 8 tracks.
Yeah.
It's a site where people can basically make like their own mixtapes and stuff. And I just love going there and listening to it.
Very cool.
Yeah. 8 tracks. I think it started because I think the original rules were you could make an album, but you could only put 8 tracks on an album. But now it's expanded. Yeah.
They took the name, justified it afterwards after liking the name, and then...
I think so, yeah. You've just been Medusa'd. Oh, ow. Oh.
So what were you listening to? Because I'm pretending that this is not a do-over.
Oh. Okay. We were listening to...
An acoustic hey
Yeah. Yeah, it's this site that I like.
called...
Yes.
What's it called? 8 tracks.
Oh.
Like the number or the word?
Both. It's both a number and a word. The number 8 and then the word tracks mushed together. The site, I don't remember who turned me on to it, but I've been listening to this site for a couple of years. But it's, people make their own playlists and stuff,
Yeah.
I think it started with you could only put 8 tracks on an album, but now you can put as many as you want.
Oh.
And you can kind of link them from your own personal music file, YouTube, because as it goes through the playlist, it'll show where the person grabbed it from, so you can go and get it, whether it's buy it from Amazon, iTunes, or it's a YouTube video or whatever.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's a neat thing.
So it doesn't just unify it and be like, buy it all through us.
No, they just seem to be kind of what would that be?
An aggregate.
Okay, good. That's the word I was thinking, and I wasn't sure if it was correct.
Either.
That or you saw me go, like make the sound,
Yeah.
and you were like, he must be about to say aggregate.
Aggregate.
Get. But yeah, they're wonderful.
Very cool.
Alligator.
I like that because, I have Spotify and I have iTunes.
Hate
and
Spotify.
Do you?
There, I said it. Internet, take that. I hate Spotify.
What do
We
you
will
not?
we will come back to that
Okay.
in just a second. But I don't, and Pandora. I use Pandora a lot. And so I kind of like this sort of algorithm predictive method of here's something you might like. Only I don't quite know enough about what I like in musical terms to give them the right seeds to really get the stuff back that are going to appeal to me. And the computers can only go so far. I like this idea that other users are like, hey, check this out. A human has approved this. This is actually
That was the
aesthetically
thing.
interesting and not just mathematically interesting.
That was the thing I didn't like about Pandora. I remember listening to it a lot a couple years ago. It was when I was living in Stone Mountain for a little bit. And that was the one thing I didn't like, was that I never clicked on songs that came through to say I like them, because I remember you saying that it would kind of refine what it chose from.
Yeah.
And I found that too limiting, because I was like, I just wanted to type in a word or a band or something and just follow whatever that thread was, as opposed to something that was so scaled down and limiting. And that's what I like about this.
And I wish it had just a little bit more of the knowledge graph that Google is currently working on, where the computer understands that the word means a thing rather than just using it as an algorithm search. Because I've tried to make a video game station where it plays music based either from or based on video games. And I've gotten it pretty good at this point. But it'll frequently hit something that'll then jump it to Hans Zimmer and Danny Elfman and very much musical score accompaniment music instead of video game accompaniment music. And I really love... I have a channel for that. But I also really like this full orchestral scores based off 8-bit music.
Oh, yeah.
Nintendo Core.
Nintendo.
Oh, no, sorry. Nintendo Core is when it sounds like it's 8-bit music. Sorry.
But I like both halves of
That
it.
idea.
I do like this sort of, that's that 30-second theme from the cave of, this 80s video game set out. But Pandora has a difficult time understanding that what I'm really looking for is video games and not emotional scoring.
I listen to a lot of coffee shop music, so Pandora's always been perfect for
Right.
me. And I feel like that Spotify might be, and maybe I'm just using it wrong, but I feel like Spotify might be better for anyone not on iOS or the Mac, or if you got into Spotify early. Like Danny's been on Spotify forever, and he loves it, and he swears by it, and he likes being able to upload and whatever. But like Spotify, for me, every time I've tried to use it, like there's this weird way that I can't get out of them wanting to connect my social media, like my Facebook or whatever.
Yeah.
And so I never liked that, and so I get into it, and the music is fine or whatever. Like the music selections are good. They haven't been any better than Pandora for me. But then I go and I use it, and the social stuff starts to really bother me because I'm like, I don't want to share with anybody, any.
Yeah,
the
I don't
music I'm
sign
listening
mine
to.
up to the social network at all. And
Right.
it occasion it's not like every 30 seconds trying to get me to, but like every time I log in, it's like, are you sure?
Yeah,
and then I'm
but
like,
here's
yeah.
the thing. I turn off Spotify, I cancel it or whatever,
Yeah.
and I still keep getting emails saying, your friend so-and-so is on Spotify. They like this track. And I go and I click unsubscribe, turn off these notifications. I keep going through the unsubscribe
Oh, I
process,
haven't had
and
that. I
it
haven't had that
keeps
particular
happening to
problem
me.
at all. I don't get the email system. What I do like Spotify versus Pandora is you can look up a specific track and play it right now, rather than trying
Yeah, I
to
think
trick
that's
Pandora into playing it within the next 20 minutes.
I think that's their killer feature.
Yeah.
Have you heard? I think there's one music service that I was someone on that I really, really like, and I know CBS owns it. I think it's Last FM, but I can't remember. Have you ever used it?
I know Last FM. I know the name, but I know I haven't particularly used it.
I think I was trying to smartphone sneaky look it up real quick, but I think that's the one that I really, really like because it had an interesting personal component to it. I found a bunch of artists like within the minutes that I had never heard of that are all in things that I like.
Yeah.
And you find out about them. I don't know. It was interesting. I really liked it. I think it was Last FM. I don't want to gloat and say I like this thing if I don't.
Yeah. Well,
Oh, yes, it is. Yes, it is. Because here it is. I pulled it up, and they're owned by CBS. That's it. I really like them.
Okay. Well, we'll check them out.
All right. So we all have our own brand that we like to follow.
Well, I haven't. I'm not as good about pulling up and listening to things. Like I mean, I don't know if I can say this, but I don't really listen to podcasts.
Get out of this studio. Come back.
Well, you have to open the door again.
Come in.
Was there like a keypad on it, a biometrics? Like
Yes.
what was
It's always
that?
easier to get in than to get out than to get in.
No, but I just like
Sorry.
I only really just listen to things like when I'm driving.
I thought you were gonna say drunk.
And when I'm
When
drunk.
I'm
Drunk and driving,
With
which
alligators.
well, it's basically the same thing. I never do one without the other.
Okay, we are not in any way advocating drinking while driving. Next.
It's true, and I barely advocate drinking.
That's true.
And I can barely drive.
Da, 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 da.
I'm short. I can't reach the pedals.
We tape blocks to the bottoms of his shoes so that he's, or he'll work the pedals and Adam will move the steering wheel and they'll get through town that way.
So when do you listen to music? Just really when you're on the road, or you do audiobooks a lot?
I do audiobooks a lot because I can sort of put it in and it goes. And for long drives, for in-town drives, I just listen to the radio. And I've just never quite gotten into the pattern of keeping up with audio shows, even on the radio. There are audio shows that I like, but I don't get around to tuning in to them on purpose. If I'm in the car when Radiolab is going on or Moth Project, I'll listen to them.
I like that one.
I have a hard time getting into the Moth, but it's good. It's good when I do hear it, but it's not one I go seek out.
Yeah, and I like the concept of it. Just the idea of helping people tell their stories
Yeah.
seems like a really cool
Sitting
thing.
on a porch,
Sitting on
talking
a
to
porch.
people. Well,
Drinking mint juleps.
kind
So
of how it started. Yeah.
I don't really use a lot of the music services regularly because if I'm at home when I'm on a computer system, I'm generally not just playing background music. It's just not something.
That's funny. And then when I'm here, and if I'm spending all day in Photoshop or working on an ebook or whatever, and I'll turn on. I've always had to turn on music though.
Yeah. And I'll generally, like, if I'm working on something, I may have Pandora on in the background, so I don't really have to decide what's next. I just turn it on and let it make the decisions for me. Or I'll listen to, if it's the classical hours on NPR for, like, when I'm writing.
Every hour on Georgia NPR, and it drives me nuts. I know you like it. But
I don't know.
that's
I've never
all
had
we
any
play
other
here.
NPR to compare it to.
But it's less so in Atlanta. But I mean, it was nothing but down in Albany where I grew up.
It's nothing but here, just about.
Yeah,
I don't know if you know this, but I used to live in Orlando.
Oh,
Yeah, it was amazing.
why'd you have to leave?
He was chased out of town with pitchforks and torches.
Yeah,
But there I discovered a bunch of really good
Sure.
talk shows. Like the Diane Rehm show is really good.
that's why I like the NPR out of Troy State. Has
Yeah.
more variety than whatever the Georgia affiliate is, because we can get both of them here.
And we have apparently 2 HD
Oh,
radio NPR stations in Atlanta.
What does that mean, HD radio?
It's tighter frequencies. You know
Is
how
it
we
as
have to
good
go
as
90.1 to
it's like
90.3?
a blue laser instead of a red laser,
Yes.
like Blu-ray.
So you can zero in on the frequencies that used to have to be the gap frequencies.
Oh, okay.
And so like 90.2 is NPR News and Science,
Okay.
and it's the spoken talk shows.
They also use different equipment to broadcast it out, right?
I would guess so. To make
Yeah.
it fit in those frequencies, you'd have to
And-
send it and receive it at a finer tune.
Is it a digital stream? Because you've got to have a special radio to get HD radio. So are they sending bits and bytes out instead of radio waves?
I don't know.
Would they be microwaves? Like
I
on
have
a cell tower?
I wouldn't
actually
imagine.
told you everything I know about HD radio at this
I'll
point.
try.
I would-
I'll try and look it up real quick.
Okay. My guess would be the transmission wouldn't be any different. Just the
Tuning
device
into it.
tuning it. Yeah, would have to be a digital tuner as opposed to the old.
Yeah,
you know.
certainly couldn't scrub
Yeah.
into it.
Yeah. So
But-
yeah, that way you can
Could get
zero
a
in.
lemon and a pole.
What?
I don't know what you're talking
You know
about.
where you could
A lemon and a
get-
pole.
You could get radio.
From a lemon?
Shut up.
Use it as
Is
a
this like
battery.
a potato battery?
Yeah.
Okay.
Except you could. There's a. Anyway.
No, that's cool. We just have never heard of it.
I don't know if it's real. Some kid in
Oh.
elementary school, Cody something, told me this. He was probably lying.
Oh, I hate Cody.
Don't hate Cody. You don't know him.
But he lied about lemon
He was
radios.
trying to fit in his youth, I'm sure.
What grade was this?
I don't know, third?
Okay, that's still forgivable.
College junior.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so we do have all of the programs you have, but the basic channel still is the sort of same format of primarily music during the days and then weekends having more of the variety shows.
Okay, so it is it's HD radio is first off, it's a trademark term. It is a way.
Yeah, I
to-
figured it wasn't actually like not necessarily
Right.
any more high definition, just
Sure.
that was the hot phrase of the day.
It's a way for stations to transmit audio and data via digital signal in conjunction with their analog signal. I don't know what gear they use, but there you go.
Third.
So, articles.
Sure.
Yeah.
I guess we did bury the lead a little bit. I have an article and I have a book I've been reading. Which one do I talk about? The book that I just finished.
The book. I think you'll be
Okay.
able to talk more about the book.
So the book I just finished is by Seth Godin. He's a marketer guy. I read a lot of dumb marketing businessy books because that's what I do. His book is called The Dip, and it is it's
about me.
Well, they stole the title from my autobiography. Is the joke I like to use. It's called The Dip, and it's focused on knowing when to quit and knowing when to stick it out in business, life, whatever. Mostly focused on business. But he talks about it sort of reminds me a little bit of the book that I've got called Good to Great. But he talks about it's a very short book and it's a very small book physically, and which is fun. So it's a really
Well,
really,
he was gonna write more, but he
gonna write- He
knew when
decided
to
that it was
quit.
time
He's
to.
in the dip, right. It goes through sort of teaching you to recognize, hey, is this hard in a way that I will never escape and never progress from? Like where he calls it sort of a cul-de-sac, which can happen in a lot of ways. Say you're doing really well at your job, and say you've been at this job for 10 years, and you're getting promoted up to a certain level or whatever, and there's all sorts of reasons why the job is great. I'm happy. Or whatever. I'm making this much money. Things are okay. He recommends you might consider wanting to get out of that job and do something different because everyone there now sort of has an opinion of what you bring, and therefore they've defined what they think your ceiling is, and that you basically hit the top of whatever that job is, and you'll just sort of be circling around, which could be great, which for some people could be happy ending and stability and whatever. And he says, but for some people that feel like that things are going to go higher beyond that, he says, perhaps recognize that maybe they're not, right? The other thing he talks about is the difference between going from being good at a thing to being the best in the world at the thing. And he says that is where one of the dips really sort of kicks in. The amount of effort and work required to go from being okay or even good at something to being great at it and to being the best at it is so the learning curve, whatever, the dip is so big and so insurmountable for some that getting on the other side of it, if you can get through the dip, if the dip is worth getting through, which is a different thing. He says you've got to make sure that this is worth getting through and this is attainable. If it's attainable and you reach the other side and you become the best at a thing, you therefore become scarce. You become a precious commodity. Your value goes up. It is because it is so damn hard to be the best at something where everyone can sort of wade in the middle. You know what I mean? And he says if you have a thing and here are ways to recognize whether or not it's a dip you can get through or it's a cul-de-sac or whatever, then here are some strategies for getting you through the dip to the other side. If not, here's some strategies for knowing when to freaking quit. And I just thought that was interesting too. He says it's okay to quit, like just because you sunk X amount of time or whatever into things. And he says you have to understand the difference between quitting the goal and quitting the ways that you're trying to attain the goal. So sometimes the goal is still attainable. It's just you need to completely abandon every way you're doing it and look at a different way of doing it. He says, however, if you do that all the time, then you're a serial quitter and you need to instead revise your strategy to never start until you think getting through the dip will be worth the other side. I think of like actors that are going out, that it's like if you're not willing to do the legwork and the really, really, really hard shit, not just, oh, of course I am, but like the really thankless kind of stuff in any job, I guess, then don't start. It's interesting. Anyway, and it's great. Like, I think it's a great book. I would recommend it.
Yeah.
There you go. And we are an Amazon affiliate, FTC disclosure, blah, 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 blah. But I guess I could put it up on the site. I hadn't thought of that.
We could.
But it's really good. And I bought it in print.
Ooh. That dead medium.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting.
I hope so.
I mean, no, it is.
I just wasted a bunch of time talking about it. If not.
If not, joke's on you, listener. No, I think that's really interesting because that explains some of the conversations I think that we've been having the last week or two.
Yes.
Because now I understand the context. I remember when you got the book and you were very excited. But yeah, even just in talking about like where we are and what Polar Studios offers, even just regionally, that there are people regionally that don't have certain skill sets that come to you to do certain things, that to you seem very self-evident, and you say, if they would just take a little extra time, but you do offer that,
Right,
you offer something that's unique, and so you can. I think you're starting to get past your dip.
I hope
here
so.
Regionally, yeah.
It's part of the thing that I was wrestling with when I called Aaron that one day, and what are we? Because there's another writer that talked about you need to be the best at what your thing is, and I keep going, what the hell are we the best at? I think we're in an interesting awkward period. You know what I mean? Like I think we're starting to get some solid stuff. I think the podcast is a solid thing. And I think we're getting a lot of practice hours, a lot of times up at bat right now. And I don't know what that could be preparing us for, and I'm also not sure. Sometimes for me, what way I feel like I need to drive the boat. You know what I mean? Because it's one part, your skills naturally to this, and it's another part you really need to make a choice. A lot of things we could do.
That's my big problem is, you know, and I mean, you guys know that I've left 2 jobs before that. One, the most recent one, because it was killing my soul.
Right. No, that one was a
slightly
clear,
different,
healthy choice.
Sure, yeah. But, you know, I mean, that was part of the reason why I left Lexington, working for the Children's Theater there. Because, again, I had kind of, I had my niche in the organization, and I did what I did well, but I'd kind of, in a way, hit that ceiling.
You hit that, it's a cul-de-sac.
Cul-de-sac, yeah.
Everything, I have that with Springer in a lot of ways. I think they've got their opinions of everything that I can do, and that's about it. And I think, Aaron, you hit that with a couple places, which you don't have to name, that's fine. But
so, yeah, I'll name mine. But yeah, it was just, I'd kind of hit that place where we all liked each other. I liked them, they liked me, but there was a certain limitation into how I could advance and what skills and projects I could do for the organization. And I'm, again, talking about kind of being on the cusp of something new and different. I'm kind of in that place now with, I'll just say Springer. You know, Paul is starting to talk to me, and he just point blank said, "What do you want to do next?" When I ran into him on Friday night, and I was like, "That's a good question." But I feel that's a limitation that I always have on myself. Is, you know, and I've said this 1,000 times to you guys. I know you've heard it at least once, that I enjoy the artistic performing and directing side of theater, but I also love the teaching aspect as well.
Right.
And I've swung over the the last 10 years or so, and sometimes I've been like all teaching, or sometimes I've been all performance, and like I'm never 100% happy when I'm doing just one of those things. But then it's also difficult to juggle and create a circumstance where I can be successful and do both of those things in a way that's satisfying to me.
Well, and I know you're looking to carve out a path and to find success on your own terms, which I think we all are, in a way, but we're all approaching it from different angles. Like Aaron and I had a conversation at dinner last night that at O'Charlie's, which was wonderful. Anyway, I'm sorry, I just got there and I felt like it was a senior center where everyone had given up. But, you know, I told Aaron, I said, well, that's good. I can kill O'Charlie's. Like, now I never have to wonder. Anyway, Aaron and I were having a conversation where we were talking about that. I think he and I have different requirements artistically for what will make us happy, right? And I don't want to put words in your mouth, Aaron, but I believe you sort of articulated that, like, you know, getting up and producing the show, like whatever the show of the week might happen to be, whether you're self-producing with a cabaret or whatever, is a thing that makes you happy, and you're like just the process of getting there and doing the show, and that is the thing.
Yeah.
Is that accurate? Yeah.
Well, I was saying that for me, that is a satisfactory goal in and of itself. We were talking about, you know, I've got basically 2 months off coming up because everybody's got their Christmas show. I'm not going to book any work between now and January of any note. And so I've been trying to figure out how to fill the time and stop playing, coffee break games for 12 hours a day, because as long as I'm content sitting and playing the whole game, I'm not doing anything because I'm content, and contentment stops construction.
Right, right. There's a studio and a desk.
Yep.
In Columbus, just saying. We can be work enablers.
That's right.
But
yeah, we've been talking about that, me moving here, because Jeff and I being in proximity to each other, like close proximity, is excellent motivator for the other person.
We both keep each other on the stick. Yeah. It's pretty funny.
Like when we're together for the 8 hours, maybe every 3 days, then it's like we get all this stuff done.
Yeah.
And then we go away, and then 3 days later we're like, oh man, I haven't looked at that since blah blah. Since we left. Yeah.
Well, when Aaron's around, I remember we were always kind of working and
sitting on two sides of the room.
We have office time quite a bit. Yeah.
But I was like, so maybe I'll self-produce a show, do something for myself between now and January or whenever the next time I book is. And he was like, okay, why? And I was like,
Because I'm an
to
ass.
put on a show. And he was like, oh, because he needs a reason
Yeah.
to put on a show. And I find the show a reason in itself.
Yeah, I wish I'm not. I can't speak apparently.
I know. How fun it must be for y'all listening out there.
Yeah, sorry. Duck season, rabbit season. But just putting on the show, whatever that is not enough for me for some reason. Like I need, like I was saying to Aaron, like, oh yeah, okay, so you're putting on the show, and it's to say that we're relaunching the cabaret, and it's the first step there. Or okay, great. The podcast is the closest that or Drawing Bag Boy are the closest things that I cited as examples to Aaron for me of just putting on the show. But even that, it's like, well, when I draw the cartoon, people go to the website. You know, when we produce the podcast, it helps get us out there, and we're a studio. We produce things. It helps the studio, be a thing. And it's immensely satisfying to produce the show, and we're paying to produce the show, as as you mentioned.
This has bothered you more than I mean,
it's bothering the hell
you've
out
made
of me.
it. You've made a couple of very innocent jokes that makes me very aware that I really bothered you by saying I have a 2-year limit on paying to do the show.
Well, because I have to figure out. Because if you go, then I'm not convinced Adam would stick around. Then I go, shit. Do I have to drop the show, or do I have to get a new show? Do you know what I mean? I'm going because I can't without the triad. This is not. You know what I mean?
Let me say, you still have a year and like 3 or 4 months.
I
you know.
I
would not even worry about this until we hit the anniversary next
late.
May.
It's too late. It's already there.
Nope.
Like I'm already trying to figure out what do I do.
But
next?
I really
that's the way my
offended
brain
you
works.
by saying that.
No. You did not offend me. That's different. You
Consternated him.
reminded me. No. You reminded me of why. We should rewind just a little bit. Aaron, last night we were talking, and Aaron said, "Okay, I think that."
I want to rewind even 30 seconds before
okay,
that. We were talking about a murder-suicide pact where we would all die in the murder room
We've gone back too far. We've gone
and
back too far.
haunt
The
the
room.
studio
yeah.
by forever doing ArTechník in people's ears every time they entered the room.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And I said, I don't want to do that forever. In fact, I would like to know that we're not paying to do the show by the 2-year mark.
Right. So to fill everybody in, it costs us money to produce the show. Well, it costs money to do everything. Yes. But it costs us, depending on if we're just doing this show or if we're doing a special event like the Riff Track, it costs us anywhere between $20 to $35. I had to pay $15 to put up the Riff Track because it costs to put up a new show. I since have removed that $15, and the show is the Riff Track is no longer available. I'll put it up later on something else, but it takes our storage space up that we need for this show. Blah blah blah. And I don't want to drop something that is not ArTechník in the feed of ArTechník for people that are subscribing because that's confusing. Anyway, it costs us minimum $20 a month just for the hosting, which is part of the reason we're seeking advertisement and sponsorships and those kinds of things. And so basically we are paying to podcast, which is fine with me right now. But what Aaron reminded me of is two things. First off, he reminded me of, I have to try to make this thing self-sustaining, this thing being not just the show but the studio, and profitable down the road. And the other thing is that when we all got together as artists, I remember the nature of everyone at the table was either people had day jobs or people were professional artists. Professional artists work contract to contract. They drop in and out. And I set up a structure in the tome where I was saying, okay, we need to set the studio up where people are going to come and go. We understand that we've got basically our 6 core people, but life happens. Sometimes people have an amazing opportunity they need to take. Sometimes people don't like each other anymore, or sometimes geographically things just don't work out. And I was reminded that no one is safe. No one is a sure bet. Everyone comes and goes. And that was good for me from a business perspective to say, right, okay, what is the show? And still for me, and I don't think this will ever change, the show is the 3 people around the thing. And it's like, okay, so if Aaron goes, what does that mean? I don't think we can do the show without, especially because probably Adam would go, and there would have to be some weird transition where the new guy gets in, which just feels kind of weird and wrong, which is fine. But you know what I mean? It's like I have to make a decision, because it depends on how the show is performing by the time we would get there in a year. And I don't think it would be performing in any substantial way, or it wouldn't be like, okay, we should probably just either start a new show or
Sneak in a new Darren.
because I spent a lot of money on on podcasts here. Damn it.
Well, I would also like to point out my unwavering loyalty to the podcast because I am the one that brought up the murder-suicide pact. So
That is true.
He
All
was
right.
ready to do it forever.
my loyalties are not in question for the time being.
Speaking of loyalties in question, YouTube is shutting down about 60% of their paid channel content producer things. Speaking of trying to get things marketable and paid. So last year, YouTube spent a lot of money. I think some estimates were something like $5 million a channel, but that sounds really high. But could be. It's YouTube. They've got Google money. Whatever. They are Google money. To get feature channels to essentially make YouTube more like TV. And so you've got high quality, high production value kind of channels. And it's a year into the experiment. And they're saying, well, 60% of these things aren't making money. And the way they track money is views, who's watching. And so 60% of those channels are not getting their funding renewed by Google. They're not getting pulled. But Google says we're not sticking money into you anymore.
Okay.
And I guess they're going to either take the budget that they put into the other ones and reinvest it, double down into, this is me speculating, either double down into the channels that are left or keep the funding for the channels that are left at the same level and
Find a new thing.
find a new thing.
Sure.
But it's that struggle of can local produced small house content, even on a big name like YouTube, bring the eyes that something like Network does. And that's I'm excited they're experimenting. I'm excited they're trying it. I get financially why they're pulling out. But for someone like me, I have to take notice. I have to go, okay, is this a thing to continue investigating or not, in the stuff that we're producing.
But, I mean, does it, other than changing, I guess, how they decide to fund certain projects, does it really change the way the local produced material? I mean, all of those people that are now funded by YouTube and they sort of produce and put a certain amount of money into, they started out as doing their own thing, right? And
I think so, yeah.
And then they got noticed, and then they said, "Hey, this is something we can
and I think it's
bump
a
up
mix.
to
I
the
think
next
it's part
level."
of that,
Yeah.
and I think it's other. I think there's a mix in there somewhere.
Yeah.
But I think I would imagine that if you feel like you got a sweet $5 million deal from Google, and the next year you're like, well, we're not renewing it. They're probably all scrambling right now, like shit. Okay, what do we do? How do we stay? Because that means they don't have the eyeballs. They had some money, but they don't have the eyeballs to satisfy Google, which means they may not have stuff that's getting watched. So what if you're a video company that's not getting watched? What do you
What
do?
are you? Yeah. Sure. Wow. Well. All right.
I've talked enough.
Good. I'll jump in. This is this may relate a little bit to the dip and finding out your thing, and this speaks a little bit to sort of a passion project of a video game designer. And I stumbled across a preview trailer for this video game. It premiered, I think, at some big sort of game conference a year ago, and the game hit on August of this year, and it's called Papo.io. And it was a downloadable game through PlayStation. And let's see here, the Canadian studio that developed it was called Minority, and the person behind it that sort of created and drove the game, his name is Vander Caballero. And the game starts off with you see this little boy. It's one of the cutscenes. Little boy who is hiding in a closet, and he's looks to be about maybe 12 years old or so, and he's clutching this little toy robot. And it's one of those sort of Venetian, sort of you can see through the closet door, and you just hear this like monstrous sound, and you see this giant creature lumber by the door. Like you just see the shadow, the outline. And the little boy, you find out his name is Kiko, is cowering in the closet. And all of a sudden he looks up, and there's this sort of chalk drawing, rune thing on the wall, and it opens a portal to another world, and he goes into it, and now you're in the gameplay of the place. And it's meant to look like sort of a South American, I don't want to say slum, but all the buildings very close together, tight little alleyways and streets. There's no characters in it. It's just Kiko, and now his little robot, well, not immediately, but eventually in the gameplay comes to life. And so it's this world that Kiko can interact with, and it's a sort of a puzzle-based game. That's how you advance to each next level, and you start to find out that this world is kind of it's his own imagination, and he can manipulate by interacting with chalk drawings on the walls, as well as there's all of these cardboard boxes that all have like crude sort of crayon windows and doors on them, and if you pick them up, then you're manipulating houses in the actual environment around you, so you can rearrange part of the world to get to certain levels. The conceit is really neat. And what happens is at a certain point in the gameplay, the creature that was hinted at the very beginning you encountered, and he's only ever referred to as Monster. And Monster, the way you interact with Monster is you get him to come through the levels with you by feeding him coconuts, because he likes coconuts. And you have to, get him into certain areas of the environment, like sit on a switch or a trigger to, make a whole block turn around so you can get to that next level. But at a certain point in the game, they introduce these things, frogs. And you start to find out that the monster also has an affinity for eating these frogs. However, when Monster eats the frogs, he becomes this flaming, rage beast and attacks Kiko. And it jumps back and forth. It jumps back and forth between this imagination world and the real world, where we see Kiko in the closet at the beginning, and it cuts to scenes where he's in a car and his father is driving the car, and you start to find out the illusions are his father in the real world is an alcoholic.
Oh my gosh!
And and so it's
I was half joking, thinking that this was kind of where this was going. This is amazing.
And speaking of passion projects, it comes from Vander Caballero's own life. He grew up with an alcoholic, very abusive father, and so this game is a way to express certain feelings that he had as a kid. You feel helpless, you feel connected to the monster. When the monster turns into this flaming rage beast, it's up to Kiko to find this particular fruit that will calm the monster. However, there are certain aspects or certain puzzles in the game where learning to manipulate the monster's rages are essential to getting through certain parts of the game. And when he's in his imagination environment, there's another little character, a girl in there named Alejandra, and you start to find out there's a little bit of a story where Kiko wants to cure the monster of his addiction, essentially. And so he's told he can go to a shaman that's at the top of this mountain, and I don't know if I want to give away the ending of the game. I feel give it away.
No, don't.
But I would say I won't. I will say that the ending is ambiguous. Ambiguous into there's not a right or a wrong answer. It's just I would say
it's a moral, morally, or in the action.
It's neither a happy ending nor a sad ending. It's an
okay,
ambivalent ending of conclusion.
Thank you. That's a much better way to put it. But it's interesting because I don't have a PlayStation, so I couldn't download to play it. But there was a site that I found
if you
where
would like to buy Adam a PlayStation, please do so using.
If you would like to buy me a working phone, an internet connection, any of those things, I'll take them.
That's right.
From where I live. So I found a site where basically it was two guys sort of playing through the game and talking through it. So I kind of watched some of that to get a stronger reference as to, what the gameplay was actually like. And everybody that has reviewed it and played it, they're very torn because they said on one level, the story is so emotional and you instantly connect with Kiko and what, this game is trying to create. However, they said the mechanics of the game are extremely clunky. They said there's a lot of like lagging in graphics, as well as it's just kind of just clunky trying to navigate the world.
Yeah.
And so people are kind of torn between, they really love the conceit behind this game, but the
fact that it's a game and it's unfunctional
Right.
makes it.
Generally, people are kind of walking away from it going, it's a good experience. It's just frustrating. They said especially that first half hour of gameplay until your brain kind of adapts to the sort of
glitches in the game.
Yeah.
Have you seen Wreck-It Ralph?
No, I've heard about it.
Never mind.
Okay,
moving on. Go see Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah.
It's interesting because what I was going to mention about what you were talking about is that it's a passion project and it's a very personal thing, but it doesn't sound find a better word, Jeff. I don't have one. Masturbatory. Mm-hmm. It doesn't sound like he's. It sounds like he's staying aware of producing it for an audience. Mm-hmm. You know, at least that's where my brain was going. And then you're talking about mechanics being clunky, and I'm like, I wonder where things sort of fell through, but
sure. And I'm not 100% sure because I couldn't find very many interviews of the designer of the game, or at least most of the interviews tended to focus on more of the emotional direction of the game, as opposed to was this rushed? You know, did they come up with this trailer a year ago and said this is their deadline, and then they had to put out what they had.
Sure. Real artists ship. Right. Sometimes they ship crap.
Yeah.
Not that this game is crap, but I mean,
yeah.
That's a fine line between putting a thing out and putting a thing out well.
Sure.
Yeah, but if you choose to take the challenge of making a game as your narrative and your art piece, mm-hmm. then you have to be held accountable to the playability of the piece. Yeah. I mean, that is part of the medium. Yeah. You know, if you can't see the images in a movie, it doesn't matter how compelling your story is. If you can't hear the true tones of the music in a recording, then it doesn't matter what the melody is. If you can't play the game, and it sounds like it's playable, but you have to acknowledge the criticism of the story was amazing, mm-hmm. the characters were immediately empathetic, mm-hmm. but as a game, it had a fundamental flaw in that it was difficult to play.
Mm-hmm.
When you said if you can't see the images, I immediately thought of Wait Until Dark, that old movie based on the play with...
the one where it's the blind lady?
Yeah. So, because there's like a scene that's all in the dark. I won't give away when, but sure. It's awesome. Yeah. Anyway.
But that's the image you're supposed to see. It's not.
I know. That was me being completely tangential.
Sure.
Who made the game? I mean, like, what's the studio's name?
The studio's name was Minority, and the man's name, the designer behind it, was Vander Caballero.
And it's on PlayStation Network?
It's on PlayStation Network. What are some other things? It said some of the other designers' big titles he's worked on called Army of Two and Need for Speed.
Sound a bit more mainstream, don't they?
Sure, yeah. Right. And so that's why, he's, again, his 9 to 5 is making these mass-produced, games out there that people love to play and gobble up and make lots of money, and this was passion project. Yeah.
That was me gobbling up.
I got that.
Yeah.
But I was sort of picturing this artistic Pac-Man mentality of just there's the regular pellets and then there are the power pellets.
Right.
And
it's doing the musical to fund your little tiny art show that you want to do in your season.
I mean, and so I wanted to, talking about passion project, just kind of ask the question then, has there ever been something you've worked on, whether it's a piece you wrote, you performed, a character that you were given, where you drew on, as actors and performers, we invest somewhat emotionally into what we're doing on stage. And so I was just going to ask, was there ever a project in your past that you feel like you were drawing on something really personal? You maybe didn't put it outright into what you were doing on stage, but there was like a connection. There was like something like, oh, this is, the angst that I felt when I was 13, or this is, yada, yada. Mm-hmm. and I'll start because I'm asking the question and I want to give you all time to think. But I would say for me, probably one of the most personal performances characters I ever invested in was it was actually the first play that I did when I was at Lexington, and it was called Witness, and it was based on a book by Karen Hess. It was written for young adult readers, and the book itself is actually all written in poetry, and it centers around this event that happens in this small New England town, and in the book, in the poems, you get all the different perspectives of the different characters in the town. One of the characters is Johnny Reeves, who was this preacher in the town. And, I don't want to give it away because I don't want to talk too much about it or go too in depth with it. But the character of Johnny Reeves he's the preacher in the town. He has a terrible, terrible secret and just something that he does. Just absolutely despicable. And so it was really difficult to play, to figure out who that character was, because you kind of had in your sense, as soon as you go, oh, well, here's this small town preacher who's doing this despicable thing. So your mind to protect
goes to the
yourself.
caricature.
You're right, goes to the caricature. And that's what I did for probably 2 weeks of rehearsal. And it was very frustrating because my director wasn't happy with it. We were trying to figure out how to get there. This was a play that was being developed, so the playwright was there at some point, and so it was a frustrating experience because there was a disconnect of me wanting to be able to connect. Okay, so what finally made the connection for me was, again, because I was jumping into this, judging this character's intention, and it was, he said one word, neighbors. He would always refer to like the congregation, the flock, as neighbor, so and so, neighbor Olive, neighbor this, neighbor that, and and something finally clicked in my brain, and it was the idea of this guy, this character felt incredibly distanced from the community that he lived in. And so his assertion and repetition of the word neighbor was kind of a way for him to try and insert himself into this congregation that he felt very distant from. And so the second that I could identify with, oh, this is somebody that feels in a way that they're an outsider. Granted, I cannot relate to the specific actions that he engaged in, but that initial idea of, I feel like an outsider, I have no idea how to approach or insinuate myself into this already thriving community. And so it was like once I latched on to that one piece and I could identify with it, suddenly everything made sense, and like everything fell into place, and it was no longer the caricature, it was a real person. And so sort of projecting and using a lot of my own difficulties growing up, and never really 100% feeling like I was part of a group or could reveal all the things that were going on personally at home. And I could relate to that aspect. I couldn't approve the way Johnny Reeves got his stuff done, but I could relate to that basic idea of
sense of disconnect.
Yeah,
and
sense
separation.
of disconnect, and you cannot truly reveal who you are, or it will drive everybody away. Yeah.
I tend to not have the deepest characters in plays that I'm in. I tend to be cast as sort of the wacky neighbors and characters and things. And yes, I try very hard to make them real and authentic, but they usually don't have a core driving emotional challenge beyond their, they have the want, they have a need, but I haven't found in my own work in fully produced pieces a lot of opportunities that have needed a lot of having to pull from a really deep personal core, which may either make me a bad actor or sound like a bad actor, or
No.
but I tend to play characters that need to be made honest, but don't necessarily have that driving emotional depth. So I pull little things, but there isn't a particular moment, a particular character I remember where I had to do a really specific, deep, personal, emotional recall beyond what makes this person human and more than a two-dimensional character that I can remember. But I very much come at characters to begin with from a presence, a now kind of thing. It's like, okay, how do they move? How do they react? Okay, that seems right. Why are they moving and reacting like that? Oh, well, that ties into this, and because they move and react in that way, then it's this emotional base, and I just come at it from a slightly different angle than a lot of the emotional personal connection. Very much you get up on stage and pretend things as honestly as you can.
Yeah.
I can't speak too much with it acting wise, because I feel like what happens is there's the character, and the character needs a thing, and
Sure.
I try to fill that in whatever. I don't want to. It's sort of like how you don't want to directly look at a thing, or you don't want to directly grab at a thing, because it's like whatever subconscious stuff comes up in the work it is the thing, but I don't necessarily like you're saying pull from personal experience that way in acting.
But in any project.
I do have other things. I would say, and I was fascinated when you talked about musicians improvising, and that it lights up the part of the brain that says, tell me about yourself. I reveal the most in my music, which is why my music is not great, which is why I don't share it. So that's the most deeply personal art that I do. That's in a lot of ways, I would say, kind of just for me or whatever.
Yeah.
But I would say for public display, the things where I feel like I'm sneaking in, where I feel the most kind of naked, and I'm sneaking in information, that if it's, in barely in code, but sort of, hey, here's a thing, would be in the comics, would be in the drawing, because you spend so much time on a drawing. A really minor example would be there. Anytime I draw cricket, there's a little like half-inch scar on his chin that's always kind of there, and that is directly from my dad. But also, there's this whole thing of the cricket does where he likes to take things apart and figure out how they work, and he's always trying to. In other scripts, I think scripts that I haven't seen a live day yet, but in other things, he's always fidgeting with gadgets, taking them apart, and always working on something, trying to make it better. And that is also, very much stuff from my dad.
Yeah.
And that's a little one. But the biggest thing was the most tumultuous period I've had in recent history had been sort of the past year. There's a big, breakup thing, whatever, that had happened in my life. And that's when I got serious about drawing Bag Boy again, and it became as daily as it could ever be. But Bag Boy is the closest thing I've ever done to a journal, because I don't journal. But to do a cartoon every day, and to do a cartoon that's sort of you versus the beast, and to every day try to, as much as possible anyway, every day that I could, be forced to come up with something.
Yeah.
On days when you've got nothing, and what ended up happening was I would just end up talking about the stuff that was actually legitimately on my mind, and sometimes I would sneak opinions in there that I'm not willing or would not readily admit to people in person.
Yeah.
But the most, if anyone reads Bag Boy that knows me, or don't, or whatever, that is the place where I reveal the most on a daily basis. And sometimes it's in very little ways, and sometimes it's in ways where I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna get a phone call.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so that's the most personal thing that I ever do, which is why in some days there aren't comics, because I can't do it, because it's like, if I draw this, I'm going to say something I cannot I'm going to put something out there that I can't pull back. And so some days I don't draw because I'm afraid. Some days I don't draw because I'm lazy. But that's the closest. And I think mentally I'm much healthier when I do that comic every day.
Yeah.
I do have one moment where the puppet couldn't keep his mouth shut. And it's sort of this joke in, you know, a lot of puppet sort of things where the puppet says what the puppeteer can't. And I've always sort of laughed that off and thought it was ridiculous. And I was doing this sort of street gig where I was just having to talk continuously as the puppet. And an old friend commented on something that's been sort of part of our conversation for years longer than I really think it needed to be. And the puppet said, "You still talking about that?" And I just...
You're like,
We're shocked. Uh-oh. Did I say that out loud? Oh, the puppet did. Okay.
The puppet said it, so I'm fine. But,
right, yeah.
but it was that moment of mask inhibition or lack of inhibition where the puppet just said what's been on my mind for years about this particular conversational topic.
Yeah.
And I really, it hadn't occurred to me that I was going to say it or that I was going to make the puppet say it. And it really, for just a moment, was like, the puppet just said that.
Yeah.
I had a funny microcosm experience of the moment feeding into the situation when I did my callback for Book of Mormon, which was a thing where like I had not I'd done a musical in a year. I've always been a terrible musical auditioner or whatever. Somehow I was in the callback, and it was terrifying. I mean, terrifying. Like I was in the car, like not wanting to go into the audition. I'm like, both days, and the song was "Man Up." And it was all about sometimes you just got to be a man. You just get in there and do it. I'm like, oh fuck. And so that was what I brought into the room with me that day. And I had an incident the night before where I hadn't slept very well. I had kind of a rough night or whatever, and I was not prepared, in my opinion, for the callback. But the performance, for whatever reason, was much better because I go to the audition and they're like, I sucked, you know. And the guy was like, you suck, but there's something here. Could you get your shit together and come back tomorrow? I'm going to call you back. I want to call you back, but only if you can get your shit together. I'm like, okay. So the next day I felt like I did not have my shit together. You know, I'd done work or whatever, but then I get in there and I do the thing and all that present moment stuff is feeding in, and it was received very well and they were very excited and they kept working me, and it ended up being a great callback experience, but I felt like I had literally gone in and like faced the monster. And then you go and you have the musical theater moment where you're singing a song about how you've got to go in there and do it. Oh, that was funny.
Cool.
A little whirlpool of just feeding into each other.
It was weird. It was surreal. I like what you're talking about with the puppet and masks and stuff, and how masks and I assume puppets then let you be ugly sometimes, in thought and action and everything. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, because you can briefly attribute it to this other personality.
Yeah. And a little bit that way with improv sets when we do them.
I went through that with the murder mystery just recently.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Really?
Well, just because Caroline Garcia and I were the actors, the in-character actors, but then parts are assigned to the audience members. And sometimes you got people that read their part and played along,
right.
and sometimes you had drunk people that couldn't read because they were so drunk. You had some people that thought what they had to contribute to the character was way funnier than what was written on the page, and so there was one particular bit. This guy, there was a guy that came dressed up. He and his wife were dressed in Western wear because it took place at the Long Branch Saloon. It was a Western, and so this couple came dressed up as they were from the Old West, and he had a little sheriff's badge on him. And somewhere in the middle of the second act, when I'm playing the dim-witted deputy marshal, he decided to stand up and said that he outranked me. And because he had a sheriff's badge. And so we had this bizarre little dialogue about how the way we kind of went back and forth because my brain was like, what do I do? And then I finally went, oh, I'm a deputy marshal, but I'm still a marshal. And so it was like sheriff of a town, marshal of a territory.
Sit your butt down.
That's exactly, yeah.
I would not have remembered that hierarchy.
And so, but again, he was very playful about it. He wasn't like a
And he
jerk.
was there to
like
have a good time.
he was, but yeah, it was just like I couldn't believe that came out of my mouth.
Yeah.
But it was like, yeah, that
But now
makes
that
sense.
guy
Yeah.
was in costume.
And he was brave because he had the costume
He
and
had
the
the mask,
badge
basically.
on.
He
Yeah.
had, and he was in a situation that was not his own. Yeah, all these. Yeah, that's great. That's kind of cool for him. Like that's
Yeah. But it was an honest, real moment. Yeah. Who would have thought?
What? Honest? Really? There's no place for that in theater.
Well, we probably ought to start winding down, gents.
Okay.
I suppose. Anything else going on? Any new to business?
I'm about to rush out to 2 read-throughs today.
Oh, this is
Yeah.
this is great. I guess we'll.
You will podcast listenership. You will hear more about this over
Yeah.
the coming months, I believe.
Adam's involved in a very cool thing.
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and say it just real quick.
Lay it out, Adam.
Lay
Do
it out. Okay. MTI has a junior catalog of musicals where they take the full length musicals like Annie and Music Man and things like that, and they cut them down to an hour to sometimes hour and a half long version of the full length musical, and it's their junior scripts. One of the titles in their catalog is Shrek. And so they're looking to release the Shrek Junior cut down version of the full length show next year. There is a woman that I worked with in Harris County, Meryl Chain. She's a theater teacher at the middle school in Harris County. And she got the opportunity. She's worked with MTI on all their junior scripts forever. And to the point that they trust her to have her pilot the new scripts before they get released. And she knew that I was available somewhat and offered the chance for me to direct and sort of pilot Shrek Jr. And so we had auditions last week, and we have the read-through today at 3 o'clock of that. And after I do the read-through,
Surprise!
sing-through of that today, then I get in my car, drive down to the Springer Opera House, and do the read-through, sing-through for Annie.
Yay.
Yay.
Nice.
Oh, is that all?
Rather
That's
be
all.
busy. I'd rather be busy
Sure.
than
Oh,
just
golly,
have
yeah.
anything
God, I
else.
have nothing right now. I understand.
And I
The
realized
void, the
part of the
void.
problem is like even if I had nothing till January because I didn't have a Christmas show, but I knew I had a contract in January, it'd be like, oh, I have 2 months off, I
Sure.
can vacation, I can recharge, it's
Yeah.
great. But approaching 2 months off without a definite thing on the other side of the gap
Yeah.
is like, oh well, my career's over. It's been nice as while it lasted.
Yeah.
I guess I'll go out as a woman.
I'm not only do I have nothing, but like my funds are basically about gone. So I would like to take this moment to remind everyone. Number one, we do have a donate
Button.
Number two,
But more practically,
Number two, if you go to Amazon.com, shop as you normally do, and when you get to checkout, if you use the code, well, we have two, but I'll give them you both, but we're going to retire
simplify.
one.
Yeah.
Right. Well, anyway, okay, forget it. If you use the code Polar, POLAR -20, the number.
Polar Studios.
Don't confuse them.
But
Oh, it's Polar Studios?
because the
Oh, crap. Oh, yeah, that's right. They did not allow it.
Polar would
Oh,
have
my
had to
brain.
been like
Okay.
Polar.
Okay.
So not to confuse anybody.
Not to confuse anyone. This is important. If you go, forget it.
Okay.
Go to Amazon.com. Shop as normal. Use the code Polar Studios, POLARSTUDIOS -20. So the number 20, Polar Studios -20. Use that code at checkout, and a portion of your purchase will go to us. Will go to help support the podcast, and to be honest, will go so that I can buy a loaf of bread. Like that is actually literally where it is going right now. So that would be great.
Christmas is coming, the Scrooges.
Do
Anyway.
all your shopping on Amazon.
Do all your shopping on Amazon so that I can buy some Mucinex. Sign off.
Sign-offs.
I'm Aaron, and I can't believe the puppet said that.
I'm Jeff, and use the promo code Polar Studios.
I'm Adam, and here I go.
He leaves a little cloud like the Roadrunner when he leaves the room that way.